Michael Printup, he runs Watkins Glen, and he was friends with Jay Fry. But I think when you promote a race inside of 3 months with no title sponsor, you probably are a heavy drinker, and no one really knows this. In all seriousness, when somebody calls you up and says, we want to put a race together, and you got 3 months to do it, your first answer was?
Are you serious? And I continued on. There was a pause in there. I'm like, I thought he was kind of playing. It was Friday night. I was in Talladega, and I was like, wow. I go, you're serious? He's like, think about it. Call me back. So at 9 o'clock, I called him back, and by Sunday morning, we were exchanging business deals.
Watkins Glen was, I used to go there in the 60s for the Formula 1 race, and the IndyCar race, they tried to do it on July 4th. I don't know, is Labor Day a good weekend to have a race? If you had your druthers and you guys can work something out in the future, is it something you would look at, or would you like to move it ahead or behind, or is it just too early to think about?
I think that open wheel event, it belongs in September, October, somewhere in that. I'd hate to go maybe too much October, but my best would be somewhere in that first to fourth week of September. I'll say the whole month. It's just an opportunity for open wheel and IndyCar. It belongs there. I think it's a great opportunity. As I mentioned before about the colleges being in town, I think that's awesome when you can pick out hundreds of thousands of more youth to attend a sport that is so awesome as this, and especially the attention IndyCar is getting nowadays. It's just now these last few years, it's just awesome that we could put this together.
People always, in the old IRL days, they always said, well, the ISC, they didn't promote the IndyCar races, and they didn't really want them to be successful. But I think it almost looks like things have changed, because you guys want to make money just like everybody else.
Yeah, we were talking about Bill Jr. always was a big fan of IndyCar, and when we couldn't get the deal together back in 2010 with Randy, that year the governor gave me $500,000 on top of my advertising budget for IndyCar, and we had to show under audit where that money was spent. So we spent it all over Canada, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, all over the 500-mile market, and we didn't pick up. It was the date. It was that July 4th date was killing us. It wasn't ever going to do any better as far as I was concerned. Randy and I had talked about moving it, so that's why I think that date in the fall is just ideal for us. I really do expect the governor to help us out again. He's been helping us. He loves IndyCar, so I already know that, and he's a big piece. He called me this morning and wanted to do a presser with me on Monday morning back in New York already. So I think when you got a governor that enthusiastic about IndyCar, that's what you need.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thanks for picking up the slack on rescuing IndyCar. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time. I sent you a text message the other night about this race. I said they should start you last because you've won it 3 times and you should have won it 4 times. But when you keep saying, just for the general fan, when you say, man, this is a driver's track, just tell people what you mean.
Well, I think it's, with all the new era tracks, they're not built the same. There's lots of elevation, lots of blind corners, high speed, lots of high grip areas. We don't have tracks like that anymore. So, it's pretty hard to build them, I think, these days in the confinements that you have. So, for me, the old school American tracks, they're just so fun to drive, and that's across the board for everybody that's involved. And Watkins Glen is definitely at the top of that list. It's one of those all-time great tracks, much like Phillip Island in Australia, and maybe some of the other tracks in Europe, but it's definitely at the top.
Is just talking among the guys you race with, even some of the guys haven't been there, do they understand the history and what a cool deal this is?
I think for sure, yeah, they understand what the Glen's about. With the Grand Prix and Formula One races in the past, and the great IndyCar races that we had there, sort of dating back 6 years ago and more. But I think a lot of the mix of drivers and personalities and influences, a lot of guys have raced in Europe, so it's a lot similar to maybe what they've spent a lot of their career on too. So the ones that haven't been there are they're gonna love it, man.
So you like my idea of starting you last for a $100,000 bonus if you win?
Well, I said maybe mid-pack. I think should be.
You said mid-pack. I said last.
No, man. Come on. We want to qualify on the front. That's where we want to be.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bud.